This is such a interesting yet boring movie. That's how I'm going to start this podcast.
Okay. You're just going to start right then and there, crushing my dreams.
I'm not crushing your dreams.
You're crushing my soul right now.
Okay,
In
look.
the spirit of Christmas, don't crush my soul right away. Leave it till the end.
I got a lot to say about this movie.
I bet you do.
Hey guys, welcome back to the CharmingAnalysis podcast, and welcome back to the Christmas Palooza. We are on, I think this is our 5th or 4th? I think it's the 4th.
Yeah, it's the 4th. I think so.
4th, 5th, something like that.
Something like that. I think. I don't know.
But yeah, we're back for another podcast.
I don't remember shit.
I don't either. I think it's it's technically the 5th actually.
I don't know, man.
Because we did the other ones. So anyway, welcome back, guys. So tonight, and this is a really late podcast tonight. I guarantee you.
2:00 in the morning right now.
Yeah, but that's because it took us
haven't been tired these last couple of days.
I don't know why.
You got like some energy, and then when you wake up in the morning, you're like really tired.
That's because I want to get these podcasts done fucking bad.
You should go to bed.
Not right now. We already started. Anyway, tonight on our podcast, we're going to be talking about
in the wee hours of the morning. Actually.
In the wee hours of the morning, we're going to be talking about It's a Wonderful Life.
It's a Wonderful Life, the film that parodies not just Christmas films, but one of the most popular stories to parody in general.
I think, yeah.
You more probably heard about this in parody than you actually have watched the fucking movie.
Yeah. So, why don't you tell them what it's about, honey?
It is about the guy named George Bailey, who you just pretty much go through his life and pretty much just pick out the most important things that happened in his life and what led to him feeling suicidal, and then an angel comes. Well, what if we went back in time to where you're never born, and how you impacted people and stuff like that. Like,
it's basically like the Christmas Carol.
Yeah, it's the Christmas
Carol. I feel like this is what the Christmas Carol is probably based on.
Maybe no, Christmas Carol was written long before.
Really?
I don't even know if It's a Wonderful Life is based on actually anything. Christmas Carol written long
It just happened
before.
to have the same plot.
No, I argue plot's different. Christmas Carol is past, present, future. This is just pretty much a timeline where you're never existed.
Yeah. Well, okay, that's true.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, fun fact. This is the oldest movie we've actually reviewed so far on this channel. This came out in 1946. Mm-hmm. Bitch, I feel old.
You were born in 1946.
I know that, but this makes me feel old watching it.
How does it make you feel old?
Honey, it came out in the fucking 40s
You're
to 50s.
You're 23. This time period has no correlation with you whatsoever.
I don't care.
Neither it does to me.
I don't care.
Okay, fine.
But yeah, this is a really old movie. This came out, and this was in black and white. This wasn't even in color. Like, that's how old it is. And this is definitely the oldest movie we've done to date.
What do you expect it to be?
I don't know. I didn't really know what to go into with this, to be honest with you.
Because you never have even heard of it, which I was shocked by. Because mostly people hear it because that last line is very famous. Every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
Dang it! I could start the podcast with that.
You could have done
that. Why
the
fuck you do that?
Because you're tired. You want to go to sleep.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, this is the oldest movie we've done to date. Came out in the 40s to 50s, and oh my gosh. I have a lot to say about this movie, but
Do you want me to start?
I think you should start, honestly.
Okay, I watched this.
Because you've seen this movie before.
I watched this in middle school.
Really?
I watched it in middle school. I don't remember what class. I think it was again, it was around Christmas time, but I think it was like during the final exams when they were just like playing movies. Like, you know how they do in the final exams if you've done with it, then you go to a class where you just watch movies or, like, play on your phone or stuff like that?
Yeah.
Well, this was the class that I was, like, we were just watching a movie, and then they decided to play It's a Wonderful Life. I only got to the point where George Bailey was talking to the accountants after his father's death. I think I only got to that point. And then I watched it all together on a later date. But I remember being really intrigued by this movie. I remember it being funny for the time period. I remember it being like, you know, I remember being it like, you know, more humorous than anything. Like, yeah. I just remember being, like, kind of, like, fascinated that still, like, kept my attention very easily, even though it was mostly talk about, like, finances and stuff like that. Because it's, honestly, like, you know, that type of writing isn't gonna get, like, super fucking complicated when it's made in, like, 1940s.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be too complicated. Stories are normally more simplified because, like, well, it's just like the different time periods and stuff like that, like, and like different writing styles back in the day. Certain things you could, like, you know, certain things that you could show that you can't show today at all.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I felt really intrigued by the movie, and even when I saw it in full, the next time, I still, like, you know. Well, first off, I didn't know that there was going to be as much talk as suicide in this movie, as much as it was.
That's literally the first thing I found out about before even seeing this movie. There was a lot of talks about suicide, and I'm like, and as soon as my bean told me about this, I'm like, what kind of movie were you fucking watching for Christmas? Like,
well,
because this was all Jay's idea to do. Jay wanted to see this movie with me.
Because it's still been a while since I've seen it, and I, like, wanted to refresh it, and I did not, like... It's still as humorous as I thought it was, but, like, at the same time, it's like there's some heavy talks.
There really
very
is.
Heavy talks of financial ruts, bankruptcy, like,
yeah, basically a lot of adult shit.
Depression.
A lot of adult shit.
Yeah,
to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's. But at the same time, I don't falter it for that, because I think that it's interesting to see. I think, like, you know, the fact that what's that actor's name? James Stewart. I think he really fucking carries this movie. Honestly, if it wasn't for his performance, I would not watch this movie. But he really does carry this performance. He really carries a role of a man who just wanted to do this, like, you know, he had goals, he had ambitions, and then it ended up getting it, and life got in the way, and, like, he just ended up, like, not fulfilling those. He, like, you know, it's a midlife crisis, but it's like his whole livelihood is on the line. It's a whole life crisis. But his livelihood is on the line. His family, his legacy is on the fucking line. And if there's one thing that people hate, it's when your legacy is just, you want to be remembered for something and you can't be remembered for that, then what are you even accomplishing as yourself? So it has a lot to do with, like, identity and self-crisis and stuff like that. And that's why I think every scene is important. I think that every scene needs to be in here, because it's not like, oh, you're seeing a whole life story of this guy. No, you're just getting snippets of the most important things in his life. Yeah. You're getting most snippet things, so that when it comes back later to the story, to when he was never born, you understand, like, why he was there. Yeah. Even though, like, today, I don't think that's, like, a crux for, like, I don't think that's a crux to... A crutch to actually, like, you know, I think it was back in the day, probably it was a good idea. Well, these days you kind of need days you need a lot more than just, like, think about, like, you know, how much it would, like, you know, you need more than just, think about how much it'd be if you never did exist. You need a lot more than that. Yeah. But I still think that, I don't blame it. It was a simplified story back in the day, and it still works, in my opinion, as that. It accomplishes what it needs to do, and it does it. And I think without James Stewart's performances, we wouldn't be talking about this movie as much as it does.
Yeah, okay. But for me, I don't know if it's just the way they decided to do this movie. I really did not like it that much.
Damn.
And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm sorry if I'm being mean.
Bury me with a steak, why don't you?
I'm sorry.
You're fine. Give your opinion.
Okay, look. For me, the only good parts in this movie, in my opinion, was literally the very beginning and then the fucking ending. Mm-hmm. The part where, like, the guy was putting the wrong medicine for the client. Mm-hmm. That was where it got less interesting. After that scene, it just went fucking downhill for me. I feel like they just did a lot of filler, in my personal opinion. I understand why it's there, but to me,
it was filler.
Look, I understand why it's there.
I don't think it was,
but they could have done a little bit better.
You see, I don't think it was filler. I really don't. You get to see this man's life, but you get to see it in all the wrong ways. That's pretty much it. He's very generous with his. He's very generous with his money. You get to know that he's he's a dreamer. He's a flirt. He wants to go do things, but life keeps throwing at him, and people that he loves, he's happy for them, but he's just feeling like this over sense of just not accomplishing much. And when he finally thinks he's gonna get a break, he doesn't get that break. In fact, he's fucking at the end of the movie, they're like, no, well, you can't come up with the money that you signed up for your family's business, and you lost it. So you're going to jail. Honestly, that's a point where his life is fucking he thinks his life is over. It's ruined. And when he's I don't know why this got to me, but when he's hugging his son, and when he's crying at the bar, asking God to help him, that I will admit, that got to me, and I started to cry.
That part, I will admit, that's the part where it started to get interesting again. Everything between what happened when he was a kid to that part in the bar was literally, that middle part was, I feel like they could have shortened a couple scenes.
I could.
Or, if they were going to do this movie, in my opinion, they should have started for when he was trying to commit it, instead of, doing it halfway through the movie. This movie, in my opinion, I know you really like this movie, and I'm not trying to bash it.
I do like it. Maybe I just have an old soft spot for maybe I just have an old spot for old movies. Maybe
and that's not a bad thing. I like old movies too, but for me, I personally feel like they kind of I know why they have it in there is just to show his life. I feel like they could have shortened it a little bit.
But this is not a Christmas movie.
It doesn't feel like a Christmas movie.
I will agree to you on that. It does
not feel like it till the fucking end.
I will agree to you on that. This is not so much a Christmas movie.
Then why the fuck did they market it as a Christmas movie?
Because...
is what I don't understand.
Because it just takes place on Christmas. But the fact of the matter is, It's a Wonderful Life, regardless of whether or not it's debatable whether or not it's actually a Christmas movie, because it just takes place on the last day of Christmas. It's still a really good, if this was the first retelling of this tale, again, I don't know if this is based on a book or anything like that. I don't know if it's based on actual written literature or something, or someone did the story beforehand. But if this is the first time someone, I'm assuming they got inspiration from Christmas Carol, but this is, to me, Christmas Carol and It's a Wonderful Life are two different stories.
Yeah, but I feel like I can see the influence in it.
Yeah.
But to me, the whole middle part of this is like when we reviewed Paranorman for the Halloween Spectacular. To me, this is literally the same thing. The beginning part was good, middle part sucked, and then the ending was good. It's just like Paranorman all over again.
This is the lesser version of Christmas Carol. But the thing is, I still consider it a good movie. I still consider it a really good movie.
I personally think it's okay.
I'm sorry.
I'm not trying to be a butt.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine with you, doing whatever to, say, oh, it kind of is boring. But I don't know. To me, I just kind of, I understood it it doesn't bore me like other movies do. Like, the
Yeah.
fucking Polar Express was more boring.
Surprisingly, the Polar Express bored us, and that's the surprising part. Because I remember liking this movie as a kid, and then now I look at it, I'm like, what the fuck?
And here's a movie you never even saw.
I've never even seen this movie before, and when I saw it, I'm like, I thought it was going to be way more interesting than it was, but...
Yeah, because I
honestly...
I should stop hyping things up for you, honestly.
I don't mind you hyping shit up for me if it's something really good that I'm gonna like, but if it's like a movie that you know I'm not gonna like...
No, these artsy films that I show you, you don't really care for them that
And
much.
I'm not trying to be a butt. I'm just saying, we both have our own preferences.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're trying to watch movies that we both like, and that we're both gonna get something out of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or at least, like, you know, I don't care if it's a movie that I don't like and you like. I don't care.
Yeah.
I will gladly watch shit with you
the thing
if it
is,
means we can review it.
I don't care if a movie wants to indulge in, like, you know, dark themes or, like,
Yeah.
dark...
I'm okay with that, too.
I don't care if a movie wants to go into, like, depression, especially around Christmas time, because sometimes people do feel depression at Christmas time.
That's something I feel like they need to talk about more.
This is a movie for people who...
feel sad during Christmas.
Feel sad during Christmas time and want to, like, say, I'm not the only one. People go through hard times on Christmas.
Yeah, that's kind of like my grandma, to be honest with you guys. Like, my grandma goes through a lot of hard times.
Your grandma would like It's a Wonderful Life, I feel like.
Yeah, but she's been... I don't know if she's actually seen it or not. I have to ask her, but... my grandma... like, fun fact, like... Well, not really fun fact, but you get my point. My grandma went through a lot of losses during Christmas. So, like, she doesn't really, like it as much as she used to when we were younger and stuff. But I feel like she probably has seen this movie. Because she likes a lot of older movies. So I feel like this... Like, to be honest, I feel like this is a movie you and my grandma would enjoy watching together for some reason. I feel like you guys would both enjoy this together.
I do, because it still brings a smile to my face, even if, like, some things are outdated. It doesn't matter to me. Like, it's for some reason, it's just, like, it still is charming to me.
It's an interesting movie.
It's interesting. I know it's not for everyone, and I know that most people don't go back and look at old 40s movies, or 1920s, 30s, 40s, like, all that stuff. There's a really good movie, by the way, that it's not Christmas, but I forgot the name of it, but it was like this very famous... It was also another famous movie about these, like, two... I can't remember. It was made in 1920 something, and it was a film that we watched in film class. We watched a couple of them. We watched one of the, what's that comedian that, like, the comedian who always, like, you know, the house falling on him, like that?
No,
you don't.
I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
I forgot his name. I'm thinking, why did I think of that guy? It was something else. We watched a comedy film that was, like, just that slapstick.
Okay.
But no,
like, if we're gonna watch.
No. Wait, I'm so confused.
Sorry.
No, but it was like filmed in the 1920s. It's weird because a lot of these films have, like, this type of, like, you know, just type of swinger type of humor with that, like, very, like, cheeky, very, like, you know, because they couldn't show actual sex. Now they can show everything on there. But, like, you know, back then they had to be a little bit more class with it. Like, a lot of, I would guess you could say, when it wasn't trying to be racist and stuff. Like, a lot of, like, white cinema just, like, had, like, the like, it was very doo-wop. Very doo-wop, very sing-song, very, like, you know, pep in your step attitude, you would say. I remember, like, watching a film in film class where, like, these two, like, this man and this woman were pretty much the whole movie was them hitchhiking cross country and, like, falling in love, like, you know, while hitchhiking very cheap around cross country. It was actually really funny. It was actually a really funny movie.
That would have been a bit more interesting in my opinion.
Yeah.
But that's me. For me,
but I like these types of movies. I like I don't know why. It's just something about them. Like, I guess it's just the way that the story's more simplified. If it, like, you know, I feel like it was made today, it would be very overdone.
Yeah.
And I don't think
that's needed.
Just remained in parodies. Be remembered as the only fucking reason why Shrek 4 worked as well as it did.
Yeah.
Honestly, just be remembered of that. Be also remembered that this was originally going to be the plot to SpongeBob 3.
This was going to be the plot to SpongeBob 3.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me right
It's
now?
a wonderful sponge. You remember that? You know, right?
Okay, look. I have nothing against old movies. Okay? I think there's some really good movies out there that are old. However, this ain't one of them in my opinion. I feel like this could have been...
I like it.
I know you like it. I'm not trying to downplay you.
Well, fine, then watch To Kill a Mockingbird.
I've seen To Kill a Mockingbird. I like that better than this.
You like that better?
I honestly like To Kill a Mockingbird a whole lot better than this. I actually saw it in
it talks about race.
No,
I'm just kidding.
It's because I saw it in my English class.
I saw it in my English class too. I think everyone saw that in their English class.
And I also saw the play of it at the theater before. I've actually seen a live play of it before. So
I haven't seen it.
I've seen it. I know about it. And if I had to pick between that movie and this one, I would rather watch that one.
I know.
Because that one made it interesting.
They're both great movies. They're both great movies in my opinion. And like, I don't understand why this is a Christmas classic. Like a Christmas classic. I don't understand that.
Like, they only talk about Christmas at the fucking end.
But a good movie it is. And I honestly think if it wasn't for James Stewart's performance, that we would not ever remember this movie at all.
Okay, look.
He really fucking carries it. Honestly.
Another thing I will say about this...
God rest his soul, he carries this fucking movie.
Yeah. I will say this, though. Like...
If he's dead. I don't know if he's dead.
I don't know either. But I will say this about the movie, though. The only interesting character that I honestly cared about in this movie was Clarence. And that is because he's a fucking wholesome bitch. And he's very sweet.
Clarence?
The angel that helped him at the end!
I was looking through the human cast and I was like, what name was Clarence? And I was like, oh yeah, it was the fucking angel.
That was the only character, honestly, that I fucking cared about. And I have nothing against the movie. It's just, this is not my cup of tea. But am I glad I got to enjoy watching with my bean?
But
yes.
At least was it interesting when the plot
got better?
When the plot when he was when Clarence saved George from
yes.
Like, did you find that part interesting?
Yes.
The main crux of the story.
Yes. I will say this though. Him and Clarence were a good pair in this. I thought that was good. I honestly liked that he had the Clarence to it. To me, if they didn't add fucking Clarence to any of this shit, it would have been so fucking boring. Even more boring than it was. And I'm not trying to be mean about it.
I just find it's funny. Most people are going to find it boring. Whoever, I'm pretty sure most people who are going to fucking watch it now are going to find it boring as shit. I don't doubt that. But for me, I don't know why. I don't know how. But for me, I got a lot more out of it. I got a lot more.
You got way more out of it.
I got a lot more out of it because of the performances. I think the performance is really solid. I believe in what they're saying. The story is simplified enough because it was made back in the day, and just it's just I think it's just because the fact that so many people probably feel like this. It's a very simplified story because it's a very simple story to relate to. Even if you aren't a parent or someone who's going through financial hardships, you understand. I think that's why this movie connected with people so much. It's about identity. It's about trying to find self-love and self-righteousness in the things that you've done. And one of the most wholesome times of the year. So I think that's why people connect with this movie. It's why I connect with it. I'm just going to give my rating now.
Wait. Before you do it.
What?
I want to say one more thing before we do.
One more thing. Okay.
Okay, look. Okay, I need to say this just for the record. Okay? Would I watch more...
apologize for your opinion.
No, I'm not apologizing for it. Would I watch more movies like this? Probably not. But I don't mind watching old movies in general, because I actually like watching old movies and stuff.
I love watching old movies.
But would I personally watch this movie again?
Okay.
Probably not.
Wait, I gotta ask you something. Did you grow up with the old TV? Did you grow up with Did you grow up with a
black and white films?
The Andy Griffith Show? Did you grow up with Smoke Gun? Did you grow up?
No.
No, you didn't grow up in any of those.
No.
You didn't grow up with Okay, so
the oldest thing I remember was that '70s show and Full House.
Damn,
that's the oldest I can remember.
You don't remember okay. Here's the thing about it. Here's the thing about it. I have very what you consider older parents. My parents are in their late 60s now. And they used to watch old, they still watch it. I don't understand why I'm saying that they used to, because they still watch it. My dad always watches those old guns, those old Western shows like Bonanza.
My grandma likes that too.
Yeah, Bonanza, MASH.
Yeah, my grandma likes those.
Leave It to Beaver, Andy Griffith Show. And I remember partaking in several of those.
Also, I will point this out too. Fun fact, whenever I was calling my bean long distance during the fucking day, I always heard, it's the Andy Griffin Show. I always knew your dad was watching that in the background. Every time. Yes! Every time he fucking had that show on, I could hear it in the background whenever we were talking long distance. That's one thing I fucking remember about your dad.
Well,
he likes that show.
Well, I remember watching it too with him as well.
I know, but that's one thing I fucking remember.
I just caught it every once in a while, and I was just sometimes I would listen to it, sometimes I wouldn't. But I remember watching these types of shows with my dad, and that's why I feel nostalgic for old white film,
black and white
films,
black and white.
Well,
films.
they do have a lot of white.
You get it,
but
get it.
Black and white, nostalgia. I remember watching it with my dad, and maybe that's why I have such a nice, warm heart toward them.
And
even that those shows were made in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah,
those are a lot more newer shows than this, but not shows, but old properties. But at the same time, I think I just have a softness for them, because it brings me back to an old point of nostalgia to where I don't have shame looking back on, because in some ways those are timeless to look at for me personally.
Okay,
so I'll give my rating.
All right, give your rating.
I think I honestly think if it wasn't for James Stewart's performance, I would not give it I would be on the same boat as you, but at the same time I think his performance is really, really fucking great. I don't think if you ever remake this movie you can really top it.
Yeah,
I think so many people are so concerned about casting how they look, how if they ever if people want to do remakes, I think so many people are concerned
about how they're going to cast
they're going to cast it and how they look, more than how they're going to act. And to me,
and
you're never going to top James Stewart's performance.
Yeah,
never.
That I will agree with. And I know that's something that a lot of people take a big deal on these days. But that's because a lot of people want representation and stuff nowadays.
Yeah, but you're sacrificing looks for quality.
Yeah.
Or talent.
And that's the sad part, because it's some people need to understand that I get it. I get why people need representation at this point, because there was a lot of stuff that is questionable in the past that has happened. I get it. But you should still be able to let people that have a talent that they enjoy doing have a chance at trying it. And if they don't like it, then fine. Just remake it in a couple years. Do you want to know how many fucking reboots they made of The Great Gatsby before we got the current one?
Well, I like The Great Gatsby.
I know, but fun fact, The Great Gatsby
had
over 10 remakes.
No, it had 3.
It had more.
It did?
It had over 10 remakes.
I only remember 3 of them.
I will prove it. Let me get my fucking phone.
Okay, let me start on my rating. Okay.
Wait, hold on. I want to do it really quick. How many
let me give my rating.
Okay.
Let me give my rating. I give it a. I don't consider it a Christmas movie, but I still consider it a good movie. So I give it a. I see your points, and I understand those are criticisms that I also take as well. I still give it a 7 out of 10.
You still give it a 7 out of 10?
Yes, because it deeply,
You still like it regardless.
I still like it.
And that's fine. And if you like it, go for it.
I still like it. It brings a smile to my face every time. I don't know
Not
why.
everyone's going to have the same opinions.
Yeah.
But I'm happy you enjoyed it. and I'm going to point this out. So, I thought it was more than that, but The Great Gatsby has had 4 film adaptations with 2 especially big budget ones. So 2 of them were big budget. One of them was 1974, and then the other one was 2013 with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Right, kind of a little. I was closer.
I think they
They didn't have fucking 10 movies.
I think they had more, but they weren't as popular.
Fucking 10 movies.
I think they had more.
I don't care about the book.
Yeah, but
I read
thought
like 5 chapters of the book. You know what? You would watch The Wonderful Life over reading the fucking Great Big Gatsby book. It is so boring.
Yeah, but in a sense, I know they've done quite a bit. I think there's some that are less known though, but
okay, we were talking about The Great Gatsby.
I'm sorry, I had to point that out.
We were talking about It's a Wonderful Life. We could talk about The Great Gatsby later.
Okay, because I would not mind rewatching like the 2013 version.
Oh, you don't want to watch the old 1970s?
Well, I will try it. I've seen clips of both, okay?
Okay.
We could always just watch those and compare them for a video. If you guys want us to...
poor fucking students. They had to watch the 70s version before the 2013 version came out.
If you guys want us to do a comparison of the two, just let us know, because I would not mind.
That's so evil. It is so evil. Anyway,
my rating for me...
Continue.
Look, I personally didn't have the biggest attachment to this movie like you did, Jay, but there's some things I liked about it, even though there's very few that I liked about this. Most of it, to me, I feel like, personally for me, I don't feel like it should have been 2 hours long. This could have been done in an hour, and they could have shortened everything.
I don't care about the runtime.
Personally, for me, I feel like they did a lot of filler, in my opinion. But it's not a bad thing. Filler's not a bad thing, but for me... I give it like a 3 or 4 out of 10. Mm-hmm. And that's coming from somebody that I tried to like this movie. I honestly tried. I'm giving it as fair of a criticism as I can. But I just personally don't like it. First off, this isn't a fucking Christmas movie. You only see Christmas at the end.
I'm sorry I misled you. It's been years since I watched this movie, and I didn't know it was like the last fucking 40 minutes.
And I'm not mad at you for it or anything. I'm not upset at that. I'm just saying, if they were going to market this as a Christmas movie, they should have mainly focused it around Christmas.
I wish it could have been more of a better experience for me, but I will still watch it regardless of it being Christmas or not.
Yeah.
I still watch it again. Probably not you, but
I would not watch this again. I don't see the fucking point of me watching this again. I honestly, out of all the movies we've watched so far for the Christmas Palooza, a lot of the ones we saw near the beginning so far, I like a lot better than this.
Ron Howard's The Grinch. All the Grinch Stole Christmas put you back in the Christmas.
I'm hoping it will, because I actually like The Grinch. I like all 3 versions of it, so I'm not gonna fucking care.
You fucking poor bastard.
I like all 3! I do! I like them all for different reasons, okay? But that's gonna be the next one we do.
Okay, we'll get back on track with the Christmas shit, because it hasn't really been feeling like Christmas.
Yeah, because I want to watch something that's not like this. If we're gonna watch Christmas movies, let's watch Christmas movies. But not
about suicidal depression.
Yeah, because we don't need that.
It reminds me more of a cold.
Yeah.
Honestly. It's a Wonderful Life is about the cold. It's not about Christmas.
They should have... Okay. That's all I'll really say about it. My personal opinion
to take place in winter, probably not Christmas, though.
Yeah. This is the last thing we'll say about before we end the podcast. I have like 2 things to say. First thing, if you guys are going to watch this movie, you must really be a fan of old-fashioned movies, because if you are not, it has to be like... You
don't really need to be a fan, because I wasn't a fan before I saw
I know, but you're going to have to understand a lot of stuff from that to be able to understand this.
Not really.
In my opinion.
Mari, I watched this when I was like 13, and I still found it fine.
Okay.
It just depends on how much your patience is, to be honest, because many people have very slow attention spans. I'm not one of those people.
Yeah. But I give patience to movies, but there's a certain point to me where it's like, okay, I can't handle this movie anymore, kind of thing. There's only so much I can handle sometimes, and most of the time I do have really good patience for movies. and stuff like that. There's just like those some out of the blue that just they kind of piss me off a little bit. And I'm not trying to be a butt. I'm just saying.
Does this piss you off?
Not really pissed me off. This honestly bored me. I don't know which bored me more, the Polar Express or this.
You better
I don't know which
Polar
one.
Express, or I'm gonna like.
I think Polar Express probably bored me
flip
more.
you over or something.
But this was a close second. Out of the two movies, like, okay, this is a funny thing, and I mentioned this before.
What's the funny thing?
Last thing.
I am getting so tired.
Me too, but. If you guys are going to watch this movie, I suggest trying giving it a chance. But for me, I don't personally recommend this movie. But I know Jay would definitely recommend it. If you guys like trying to watch old-fashioned movies.
If you like your suicidal depression with a little bit of cold winter, then watch this movie.
Also, can I please pick the last film we do? Because so far, no offense...
But your Christmas movies have been so boring.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be a butt, but I'm just saying a lot of the ones you wanted to see over the two I wanted to see.
Stab me, bury me, and then leave me to rot in the ground.
No.
Yes.
Look, I'm not trying to be a butt, and I'm giving your stuff a fair chance. But I'm not gonna lie. The last two movies we ended up seeing for this podcast honestly bored me out of my mind, and I'm not trying to be a butt about it. I'm just being honest with you.
Okay, we could choose your Christmas specials. They're specials and not that long.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's fine. I don't
tried.
care. No, you're fine. I don't care. Like, it's Christmas. Like, season of giving. The thing I can give you right now
is something that's not that
boring. Something that's not boring.
I
apparently.
swear, if we have to watch another boring ass Christmas movie like this, I'm gonna be like, honey, I get to pick next.
I don't even remember what the most boring movie I've seen. Like, even like I can't remember.
These two movies these two were like the most boring Christmas movies. Santa Claus is Coming to Town was better than these two, and that thing came out in the fucking 80s.
I didn't come out in the 80s.
Wait, when did it come out?
Came out that came out like long ago, man.
That came
1964 or something.
That was better than this. And that came out like a decade later. That was so much better.
Santa Claus Coming to Town. I'm trying to look it up. Sorry, I'm just like...
It's fine.
Let's Coming to Town. Rankin, Mass. It was 1974.
That thing was so much better. And that came out like 2 decades later. That's sad in my opinion. Anyway.
I don't expect like that much from the old movies.
I know.
I really don't, honestly.
Anyway. That's the end of our podcast for tonight because we got to go to fucking bed. It is like 2:30 in the morning.
Talk about 40 minutes for It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, I thought that this was only going to be like a shorter video, but I don't care at this point. Yeah, I think the next movie we're going to do, there's two we do plan on doing. We're going to be doing one video about the Jim Carrey version of How the Grinch Stole Christmas because Jay really wants to see that one. He really wants to see that version. And the other one was like, we're going to be comparing 4 different Christmas Carol movies and seeing what makes them different, what makes them like similar, and shit like that. Mm-hmm. We're not doing a whole bunch of them because that's going to take fucking forever. And there's like way too many to fucking count. We're just only picking like a couple and just comparing. And that's what I really want to do.
Okay.
But after that, we have like 2 more. We have 2 more slots. We kind of have to decide what we're doing. Mm-hmm. And after that, we're going to be doing the end of the year podcast, which will be fucking exciting in my opinion. I'm excited to fucking record that.
How long do you think that will be?
I'm kind of hoping we can make it like...
Depending on how personal you get. I don't care how
For me, I'm not going to probably get too sappy or personal with it. But I'm hoping to at least do maybe like 45 minutes, an hour. Depending on
I'll lay everything
what we talk about.
I'll lay everything on the fucking table.
But I'm not.
Look at Mario Plushie. You just...
I prefer just... Something you guys should know about me. I like to keep my life personal. And there's only a certain amount of stuff.
I don't.
And there's a certain amount of stuff that I'm okay with talking about, while some stuff I just prefer not to.
Uh-huh.
So
It's like
please don't ask a lot of personal questions unless I'm okay with asking answering it.
It's like your face.
Yeah, like it's like my face. Like I made a video before with Jay.
I
prefer not to show my face either.
I get to see it. No one else does.
Yeah. So we are planning on doing an end of the year podcast. We're mainly going to be talking about our year and stuff like that, along with what we're going to be doing like next year, like some goals we're doing for next year for the channel. But we're not really going to go too in depth into it until like a couple weeks from now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's the end of our podcast for tonight. We hope you guys enjoyed. Sorry if it was a bit of like a long one, but we're going to have those long videos.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm Mari.
I'm Jay.
Happy holidays, and we're out.